And so before Big Night started, what was the state of like Boston nightlife? Was it just like the pop and nightclubs on Tremont and like Cure, Icon, Bijou? Were those all there?
Well, some were there, some weren't. Obviously, Roxy was a big one, which now is Royale. Ed and Joe and I did the Estate, which was in the alley across from Gypsy Bars, whatever that was called at the time.
Where's that? Is that Emerson?
Right where Emerson is. Actually, when we stopped, we were there for 8 years. When we stopped, Emerson was our landlord. They bought our building and built dorms. So that's why the Estate ended. But so nightlife before the Grand was all very inexpensive, mediocre at best, in terms of how much money got put into them, right? So like hundreds of thousands of dollars versus millions. When we built Grand from the ground up, we spent approximately like $14 million building that place. So it was intended to be a Vegas style nightclub from the get-go with real money, $1 million sound system, a Function One sound system that no one in this market had done before. Just like really top level sound, 70-foot LED wall, 200 kinetic lights in the ceiling. So the tech, all right, let's get back to it. The tech package, I'll never take one of those nights for granted again, but a tech package was over $2 million just in technology at the Grand. So whereas the Estate, we sort of painted and papered it with new, with new paint and new paper for a couple $100,000 and called it a new
demographic
name.
Though, right? I mean, it was college kids.
Well, yeah, but all of Boston is that, right? So Boston in general was inexpensive build outs. No one had ever put the money in. And I think that's the difference. I'm a big Vegas guy. I've been to Vegas 20 plus times. Ed and Joe, we've all been there. We've gone for the nightclub and bar conventions for 20 years. So we've always had our eye on Vegas. And how can we bring Vegas back to Boston? Vegas is the mecca of nightlife. There's no question about it. Omnia is a $100 million club. Encore Beach Club's a 50, 60, 70 million dollars they spent building it, maybe more, 90 million. So you can only make something amazing with money. You can't build, a palace with $3. So you have to build with a lot of money. And so we went into it knowing that. So, we raised money, private equity, investors, friends, family, all that stuff. And we went out and built the very best club Boston's ever seen before, intentionally, Hi, I'm Randy Greenstein, and this is my golden hour.
Oh God, what's going on? Where am I going? Dad?
Yes, my son. I am Deuce, the deer god.
I'm so confused. Who am I?
Derek. Your true name is Dercules.
Wait, what?
Yes. You are Dercules, the god of the forest. Season 5.
Hosted by your favorite podcast host, Big Bochi. You already know the deal, mother. What's up? Sweet. Hey, so I have all my producers on the phone right now. B, Big Fresh, and Slugs. Say what's up to the Boston young entrepreneur GOAT.
Hello, how are you?
What's going on, Randy?
What's happening, y'all?
Nice to meet you.
I hear a lot of bees for Big Night in there. Yeah.
Hey, man. So I've probably harassed your marketing people for like 8 months to do this, man. I've just been in such awe of what you built in Boston. So thank you for running this with me.
Yeah, thanks. Well, I have more time on my hands. I'm at my house, so I'm quarantined. So
I'm sure. Are you located in the city? Or are you outside the city?
I live in the North Shore.
Word. Okay.
Yeah.
Dude, we went crazy on the research for this episode, man. We were pumped.
All right, let's go. Let's hear it. Let's see how deep you went.
Well, so I think starting out, like when I had first heard of Big Night, I used to do some work over at the Channel Center. So like Mr. Kane lives over there.
Yep.
And so
one of them.
And so I kept seeing the logo around. And then as soon as I left college, I went to Providence College and I went to Boston for the first time. I think the first club, everyone was like, yo, bro, we got to go to the Grand, man. And I was like, yo, dude, I don't know if I have that much money, man. But can you, before we move on, can you just give a quick synopsis of who you are and what you do?
Yeah, I mean, the Grand definitely changed our world for sure. But my name is Randy Greenstein. I one of the owners, co-owners of Big Night Entertainment, and we have 17 venues in and around New England. So it all started 13 years ago or so down at Shrine in Connecticut at Foxwoods, which we have a lot of PC people that go there and party there. A lot of URI, a lot of PC. It's pretty close to Providence. So Shrine was our first, big mega club. My two partners, Ed and Joe Kane, have been doing it for a long time. They had Waterworks back in Quincy, Mass. Back in the day, I used to work at Kiss 108, and I was one of their DJs for like 10 years. I DJ'd every Sunday night at Waterworks, it was this big outdoor 60,000 square foot, 3,000 person nightclub.
Now we saw,
open,
I don't know if you've seen that new Barstool documentary, but I think they were throwing blackout parties at the Waterworks like way back when, right?
They might have. It's possible. It's possible. I don't fully recall, but those things were wild. Portnoy and Dante was one of the DJs. He's a good friend, and we did a lot of stuff with Dave too. But
Well, so I follow you on IG, so that's the same thing. I've seen like a bunch of Vinny Vibe posts. We used to go to the Whiskey Republic all the time, and he would always be doing sets there, man.
Yep, Vinny's my boy. He's actually been with us since day one at Shrine, but he's the king of Providence for sure.
Now, so explain, like, you're just like a hustler. You're like from North Shore. Are you from? Or are you Lynn?
Yeah, that's right. I grew up here. Yep.
So you're just like grinding. You're doing like overnight shifts at Kiss. How do you make this like initial merger into Big Night? And like, how young are you when this starts?
I mean, it's a long story, but I started at Kiss 108 when I was 16 years old. Billy Costa, who's still on the air with Maddie in the Morning, the co-host, he was living in the same town I grew up in, and I had called him. You'll love this story because it's an early hustler story for sure. But I was 16. My friend in high school played tennis with him. I was the treasurer of our student council, and I wanted to throw a fundraising concert at our school back in '93 when I was 16. And so
this guy, man,
it's wild. So he gave me his number because he played tennis with him. And I called Billy at his house, and he picked up and just talked to me randomly. And I told him I wanted to throw a concert, blah, blah, blah. Oh, and by the way, I'm going to college, in a year and a half. I had gone, I'd planned on going to Maryland early acceptance. So I'm going to Maryland. I'm going to communications, blah, blah, blah. I really love Kiss, and I want to learn about radio, He's like, oh, come in tomorrow. And so I went in, and he starts his day at 3:30, 4 in the morning for his 6 a.m. morning show. So I went in and dressed up in a suit. I remember it like it was yesterday, like 16 years old, dressed up in a suit, like my big interview. I had no idea what's even going on. I show up at like 4 in the morning. Literally, he just works the whole time, barely acknowledges me. I'm sitting there in his office waiting for the show to be over. The show ends at 10. He sits down and he's like, so you want to start tomorrow? And I'm like, yeah, I do. So I started interning for him at Kiss back when I was 16. I would go, it was all summer, and then I'd go before high school from like 4 to 7, then go to school, and then go back to Kiss at like 2 after school was over. And I did that for like 2 years. Then I went to college. Then I came back from Maryland early. I didn't go there long, and ended up working at Kiss like full time, basically for like 13, 14 years. I did everything from the morning show. I was their stunt boy. I did over 100 stunts, like crazy things. I worked in the promotions.
What do you mean stunt boy?
This is a crazy part of my life too, but I try to not remember it. But I literally saw it was so long ago when it was before Instagram, before social media. And they would send me out, Maddie in the Morning and Billy would send me out to do stunts. And it's hard to even describe. So one time they sent me to Patriots training camp, and I'm on the phone live on the radio while they're live. And they're like the Patriots were walking out to training camp, and they're like, go tackle Tom Brady. And like crazy stuff like that. They put me outside of like Concord State Prison. I mean, these stories are going to sound so ridiculous that they're not going to sound real, but they were all real. They put me outside of Concord State Prison in an orange jumpsuit, handcuffs,
The one
leg
off Route
cuffs,
2?
Route 2, the Rotary.
Dude, that's like a
Handcuffs-
maximum security.
no, wait till you hear the story. Maximum security. So handcuffs, leg cuffs, orange jumpsuit. Pretend like you're escaping from prison while live on the radio. So I got my phone. I'm on the radio, and Matt sends me to the Rotary and says, knock on a window as they're like going around the Rotary. So I remember this like it was yesterday too. I knock on the window of it was a caravan. I knock on the window. I'm trying to escape. The caravan like skirts off like 100 miles an hour out of the thing. All of a sudden, I turn around, and the warden of the prison is in my face with 8 guards.
Dude, I was going to say, is there a sniper rifle at you right now?
Sniper rifle in the tower, right? He's spitting in my face. You just disrupted my institution, blah, 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 blah. So mad at me. And I'm like, oh, my God, I'm so sorry, sir. I'm so sorry. And, like, he's freaking out. I got arrested. The state trooper, like, picked me up by my neck with 2 fingers, threw me in the back of the car, head off the car, drove 100 miles an hour to the barracks in Concord. I was in a cell for hours and hours and hours. It was a Friday afternoon. Luckily, I got like bailed out by the radio station. It was so nuts. The next day or Monday, they called in, and the guy in the tower asked if he was clear to shoot, like legit.
Wow.
And that was 5 years into me being the stunt boy. And that was
You were doing that for 5 years? You were
I
running
did it for 5 years. I have hundreds of stories. That was the craziest story, probably the most memorable story. I got detained by the Secret Service. I snuck on like the USS, one of those ships during the tall ships. Like,
no way.
Really, really, really crazy shit. Like can't make it up shit. And
were you cool with it at the time, or were you like, hey,
No.
this is going to be an opportunity for me?
I hated every second of it. Every single time before a stunt, I had to go to the bathroom. My stomach was upset. I like literally was going to shit my pants every single time one of the things happened. But that's what actually made it funny, because Maddie and Billy are family to me. Like, I was an intern. I was there for a long time. So I was like part of their lives. And so it was so natural. I hated it. They made fun of me for hating it. But early on in the process, they said to me, listen, you either have to do, Matt said this, you either have to do everything I say or you can't do it. And it wasn't like a threat. It was just the only way this is going to work on radio is if you literally do everything I say. So from that moment on, they're like, you have 24 hours to decide whether this is what you want or not. And I decided that I definitely have ambition. I wanted to succeed. I like winning. I'm competitive. So like I was a wrestler in high school and college. Like I had to win. And so I said yes, and I did it. And I hated every second of it for 5 years, to the point where Concord State Prison pretty much put me over the top, because I almost got like in a lot of trouble, like a lot.
Was there ever a point, like you're 5 years in, like running gimmicks, you're like, yo, what am I doing? Like, when do I reach the next step of like, like maybe DJing or like...
Well, no. So all that was happening at the same time. So the morning show is only 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. So I'd go in and be Billy's intern and help do the news, prepare the news with him and for him. And then Maddie would have me on, and I'd do a stunt pretty much every day or every other day, like something that they would build the show around that one stunt, or that hour around that one stunt. And so I loved it. I hated it, but I loved it. But at the same time, Billy convinced me to DJ. And so I bought my own sound system, mobile DJ sound system. I started DJing. I DJ'd weddings. I DJ'd bar mitzvahs, all that stuff. But I really only like DJing clubs. So to cut to the chase, I really concentrated on DJing clubs at night, while also doing the morning show, while also doing stunts, while also doing marketing and promotion. So I worked in every department at KISS at the time, but also DJ'd at night. And that's where I fell in love with the nightclub scene, DJing, music. I was always into music and throwing concerts and throwing a party. And when you at the time, obviously just DJing nightclubs, but when you end up owning nightclubs, you literally, that's what you do every night. You throw a party, you throw an event, and the mission is to sell it out every night. So that I get a lot of excitement and fun out of literally throwing parties, figuring out how to get to 1,000 people to come to the party. It's a promoter. So there's a lot of like excitement and energy in that. And I fell in love with that. And then I DJ'd through Kiss 108. I DJ'd at Waterworks. I met Ed Kane and Joe Kane. And from there, we started Big Night Entertainment Group in 2006. We were in Ed's apartment in his loft. We were brainstorming ideas for a company. I was leaving Kiss at that time, 13, 14 years later. I was just ready at that point.
How old are you?
Else. How old am I at that point? 29, I think. 29, because I started so young.
But you were done with the stunts by like that point, right?
I stopped the stunts around 24. I did them from like.
It'd be cool when you're like 21, but like you're pushing 30. They're probably, who's this old man creeping around the playground around here, man?
Well, from 19 to 24, I did the stunts. Concord happened around 23, 24 years old. That was the red flag. Don't do that again. I'm starting to get responsibility. I'm starting to, going to get married, have kids, all that stuff. So I definitely shut that down, moved into marketing and sales at the radio station, DJ'd, and fell in love with sort of the nightclub restaurant business. And that's kind of how it happened. So that was around 29.
Now, when did you realize, so I've thrown like a bunch of parties myself, obviously not to the same magnitude as you. Are you actually familiar with
It all starts somewhere.
Are you familiar with the Coliseum in Providence?
Not personally, but I think I've heard of it. Yeah.
That's where I threw my first one. But at what point did you realize like, I just love chaos. Like I love like tons of moving parts. Because to be successful in events, it seems like you got to be able to just manage all the crazy shit thrown at you on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, I have to think that I was like born with it because I can't remember how far back I loved the chaos. Like I would sell now and laters in school, in middle school. I would buy a tub at Costco and sell each individual one for 5 cents and try to turn a profit. I was even like, I don't even want to say it on a podcast, but taking bets. Like I was doing some wild shit in high school. Like,
I was running brackets in high school too.
Yeah. So I don't want to get arrested now, but hopefully that doesn't happen.
Well, was it important for you when you were starting that to build in Boston specifically, or if someone was like, "Yo, Randy, you seem like you're like the young prodigy. You want to come to New York and build something with me?" Was it important to you to start out here?
Well, that was never even one of the options. I DJ'd in Boston and all around Boston. I was a big fan of Foxwoods and going to Foxwoods and playing poker and going to that club. I actually think my 30th birthday was at the Foxwoods club before Shrine opened. So, like, that was all part of me. So New England's part of me. Boston's part of me. Obviously, I joined forces with Ed Kane and Joe Kane right off the bat. So I worked at Waterworks from 90-something to 2005, whatever. We started Big Night 2006. And, like, that was never – New York's never even been a thought. LA is not even a thought. Vegas is a thought, but now it's a thought as Big Night. Not like I never individually wanted to travel. I had kids, young, I married and had kids at 25. So like,
whoa,
right off the bat, traveling and leaving this market was never even a thought or an option or a desire anyway. But
dude, are people stunned when you tell them you have a family? Because like, I'm sure your day-to-day is insane. I don't even know how you keep balance.
Yeah. Sometimes people are wild out by that, but yeah, it's been like this since day one, so from high school to college to DJing, we've all been a family since day one, my wife and kids and, literally as far back as we can all remember. So she was used to me DJing 4 or 5 nights a week till 2, 3 in the morning anyway. So it was never even an issue,
And so before Big Night started, what was the state of like Boston nightlife? Was it just like the pop and nightclubs on Tremont and like Cure, Icon, Bijou? Were those all there?
Well, some were there, some weren't. Obviously, Roxy was a big one, which now is Royale. Ed and Joe and I did the Estate, which was in the alley across from Gypsy Bars, whatever that was called at the time.
Where's that? Is that Emerson?
Right where Emerson is. Actually, When we stopped, we were there for 8 years. When we stopped, Emerson was our landlord. They bought our building and built dorms. So that's why the estate ended. But so nightlife before the Grand was all very inexpensive, mediocre at best, in terms of how much money got put into them, right? So like hundreds of thousands of dollars versus millions. when we built Grand from the ground up, we spent approximately like $14 million building that place. So it was intended to be a Vegas style nightclub from the get-go with real money, $1 million sound system, a Function One sound system that no one in this market had done before. Just like really top level sound, 70-foot LED wall, 200 kinetic lights in the ceiling. So the tech, all right, let's get back to it. The tech package, I'll never take one of those nights for granted again, but a tech package was over $2 million just in technology at the Grand. So whereas the estate, we sort of painted and papered it with new, with new paint and new paper for a couple $100,000 and called it a new
demographic
name.
though, right? I mean, it was college kids.
Well, yeah, but all of Boston is that, right? So Boston in general was inexpensive build outs. No one had ever put the money in. And I think that's the difference. I'm a big Vegas guy. I've been to Vegas 20 plus times. Ed and Joe, we've all been there. We've gone for the nightclub and bar conventions for 20 years. So we've always had our eye on Vegas. And how can we bring Vegas back to Boston? Vegas is the mecca of nightlife. There's no question about it. Omnia is a $100 million club. Encore Beach Club's a 50, 60, 70 million dollars they spent building it, maybe more, 90 million. So you can only make something amazing with money. You can't build, a palace with $3. So you have to build with a lot of money. And so we went into it knowing that. So, we raised money, private equity, investors, friends, family, all that stuff. And we went out and built the very best club Boston's ever seen before, intentionally,
Was it easy to find the investment in the city in Boston? I mean, because you're right in the mecca of all these financial institutions. And
yeah, I mean, really, we have an amazing investment group. It started 13 years ago at Shrine, though. So you have to keep in mind when we built Shrine in 08, built it in 07, opened in 08. When we built that, we went out and found 20 amazing investors, friends, family, acquaintances, business people in the Boston, New England area, and built that. And then that had success. So then a year later, we built Scorpion Bar at Foxwoods with some investors. That had success. Then a year later, we built High Rollers, the bowling alley, sports bar. That had success. So every year we built a new place. Each one had success. Each one had a payoff for investors. So it became easier and easier each time. Not that it was ever easy.
You're building rapport.
But building rapport, building a return on investment, showing them what we're made of as entrepreneurs, as operators, that, you could open one place and it could be a fluke. You can't open 10 places and they all do well and it's a fluke. So we've started to get more and more, confidence in investors. And so, yeah, raising the money for the Grand wasn't incredibly complicated. And for any of our projects, once the first one was complicated.
I'm sure the first one you were probably just like scraping it together. Like, we're going to trust these guys to open up this bar and this casino.
It was pretty wild too. We went out to the market with $250,000 investors. That's what we had to go get. And so we signed the lease, we signed our personal guarantee, we signed our life away before we even had a dollar. And I think
were you nervous as hell at the time? Were you like, oh my God, I got all this on the line?
I think the interesting thing is no. Ed, Joe, and I think all entrepreneurs, if you're going to go all in on something, you go all in. You don't think about it. You don't think about failure. Failure is not an option. You just put your money where your mouth is. If you're willing to put 24/7 worth of work into it, you're not going to fail. So that was never even an option. I don't think we were ever nervous.
But you've definitely caught L's along the way, right? I mean,
I
know it's tough to talk about, Randy, but
I'm not going to say we haven't. They haven't all been grand slams, but we've never lost the game.
This dude's a competitive psycho. I love it, man.
No, you can't. There's no losing. No, we've never lost. Some have been more challenging. Yeah, not to be arrogant, because that's the opposite of how we operate. But losing isn't an option. But no, I mean, some are better than others. The Grand is a smash. Shrine is a smash. Memoir is a smash. Big Night Live's about to be a smash.
Scorpion's a smash, man.
Yeah, Scorpion actually, pound for pound, it's like Floyd Mayweather. pound for pound, Scorpion is our best because they're all 5,000 square feet, give or take, and we have 3 of them, and they all bang out real success. You know, Gem was a challenge. We had one in Downtown Crossing, second floor, one-way street. It wasn't the it was like a cult following. People that loved it. People miss Gem to this day, but we converted it to Versus. I think it was an interesting lesson too. We pivoted and we decided to convert it to an arcade bar, and now it's gangbusters. It's amazing. Well, nothing is right this second, but as soon as we get through COVID, it will be. But it was going really well. So yeah.
How did you assess there was a market for that in the city, like an adult arcade experience?
All of them were doing well. You know, at Cambridge, Stanley, Mass had one that was doing well. Like a bunch of different places were doing well, and it was a trend around the country. And someone threw it out as an idea, and we were like, ding, 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 that's the winner. That's the one. The space felt right for it. Downtown Crossing, a lot of people work there after work. You know, nightclubs are hard, and Gem was a boutique nightclub. And at the end of the day, you know, we opened Grand and Memoir and kind of put ourselves out of the business at Gem to a degree, because you're not going to go to that boutique little club when you could go to the mega club. So it was an easy decision, and it worked out really well, and it felt right. And you never know when you're opening these things, like, is it going to connect to the audience, connect to the market? But it felt right from the get-go, and it came out of the gate perfect. Like, it's just, you know, it's not expensive. For $5, you get a wristband and you play 30, 40 arcade games for free as long as you want. We have Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo Switch on all the TV screens. So, like, you play video games. So it just feels right for today, for 2020, and it's been working. So the lesson learned is, even if you're about to take an L or it's going in the wrong direction, you could pivot out of it and change your business model and be fine, you know?
So, I mean, if we're being real, you really have not taken an L in the past, like, 10 years.
No, I you know, again, a couple haven't been as good as others, but no, I mean, and like I said, if it's, I'm never going to call it an L, because it's not, nothing's ever been a loss, but there are 2 conversions. I'll give you this. There have been 2 conversions. Gem to Versus and Explorator in downtown Boston. We're converting it. We're in the middle of it right now to Guy Fieri's Boston Kitchen and Bar and
That's
Chicken
gonna be
Guy.
Sweet.
It's going to be amazing. His Chicken Guy concept down in Disney. We're the first one in Boston to do it. And it's chicken fingers, chicken sandwiches, like perfectly fried. It's like, I went down there. It's unbelievable. So
Downtown Crossing?
Yeah, it's on the corner of Tremont and Boylston Street.
Oh, you're gonna get a gazillion people in there.
Yeah. So we had a place there that was doing fine, but not a giant W. So, and this opportunity came about with Guy. We have 2 restaurants with Guy right now. We're building 2 more. So he's amazing, awesome dude, generous dude. You know, his brand is on fire.
Yeah,
and
kick-ass entrepreneur, man. Dope marketer.
Yeah, exactly. So when this opportunity came about, it was like, no brainer, let's do it. So no, I am not accepting any L's.
Okay, I hear you, man. When you had initially started the Grand, how did you assess that? Like, okay, I think I could probably pull in like industry level talent to Boston that's never been here before. Was that you just saying like, I'm just going to send it, or?
Well, I mean, again, it was all of us. We have a giant team of talent buyers and you know, on our team, you know, from DJ Costa to, you know, Tim Benito's our VP of talent. You know, Anna Joe and I believed in talent is the driving force behind nightlife. And again, it goes back to the Vegas model, right? What's driving Vegas? What's driving nightlife? Talent. At the time, EDM music. And now it's a mixture of EDM and hip hop and whatever. So what happened was, and we had Shrine. So we've had Shrine since 2008, and it's now 2020. So for 12 years, Shrine's been a mega success, the #1 nightclub in New England for a long time, all built off of talent. I remember we booked Steve Aoki. We've been booking Steve Aoki for 12 years. First time we booked Steve Aoki, his name was Kid Millionaire. He was open format DJ that at 12 years ago, we had him just DJ for like $1,000. He DJ'd.
Was he still doing like 700 shows a year back then?
Yeah, he's a maniac.
That's real, right? Like he really does 1,000,000 shows a year.
Well, he does 300 shows a year. Yeah, that 700 would be 2 a day every day. You know, that's impossible. But 300, he literally does 250 to 300 shows a year.
That's insane.
And he'll fly. Like he'll play Boston, Vegas, New Jersey. Like he doesn't even care about the route. He wants to work every night, no matter what. He's a maniac.
And then he'll do a backflip into his foam pit in that big playhouse.
Yeah. I've actually been there. It was the coolest
Oh
experience.
my God, what was that like?
Aoki's Playhouse. I didn't jump into the foam pit, but I wanted to jump into the pool off of his balcony. But no, we played poker one night. I was in Vegas, and he had a little poker game in his house. It was fun, just chilling out. But he's a great dude and a great friend. He's actually invested in our in like 7 of our places because it all started back at Shrine. So then we had Avicii early on in like 2010, 2011 when he was peaking. So that was when like the light bulb really went off. Like, oh, we could do this in the woods of Connecticut. Never mind Boston, where there's 400,000 college kids and everything else to go along with it. So, so that mentality of talent started a long time ago, 10 years ago. And we know that no matter what place we open, it's going to be built off of talent, artists, after parties. You know, it's almost part of the marketing plan, because if you have big talent, that talent then posts that they were there, and now all of a sudden that's the cool place to be. So it's this evolving circle that's just constantly talent. You know, you provide good service, good food, good drinks, good music, great sound, great bottle service, great parades, great party. You know, it's not rocket science, but it's a magical formula when you can put it all together.
Now, this is a question I've always had. When you book talent, so let's say like the Migos are showing up to the Grand, when you work out the deal, is a part of the deal when you're like, hey, you got to post on IG about this? Is that always part of the deal, or sometimes do they negotiate out of it?
Sometimes. It depends who they are. Most of them just do it. It's, you know, part of the culture. Everyone's IGing no matter where they are. So
Yo, your IG is popping.
Thanks. Well, we have good content. It's not
your videographers are fire.
I know. I'm just stealing all of our videographer and photographers' content. We have a full-time videographer, Smile. It's Kyle. He's amazing, and then Evan Larson, who's another amazing talent out of Emerson. So we've scooped up some good guys and pay them well, and they do an unbelievable job between videography and photography. Chris Lovato does Avant-Garde in New York. He does Shrine. He does Tao Group. He does Memoir. He does Grand. So try to hire the best talent and have the best content. And it is video marketing and photos are the name of the game, you know?
So just a real quick rewind. So sometimes talent will say, okay, I don't want to post on my IG about this.
Yeah, the bigger they are, the less likely they are to post.
But then will you say, hey, but I'll toss you an extra $50K if you toss this up on your story?
Well, it's not really worth that. So no, like the hard line is there's an interesting business question, right? What is a post on Tyga's Instagram worth? I mean, where are his followers from? Are his followers going to come to the Grand tomorrow night? You know, so it's not worth that much. So we just mostly wait for it to be natural and organic. Most of them post, and I don't know why I picked Tyga. He just came to mind. We had him right before we had to close. But Kim Kardashian comes. It's amazing if she posts, but it's not worth $50K. Is it worth $5K? Maybe, you know. Dude. But like she wants like $1 million for a post, you know.
Yeah, but she's got that fat following.
I know. But if you had an online business that sold product, you would pay for it because you need the eyeballs on your merchandise or fashion or pocketbook or shoes or sneakers. We sell an experience. So that audience needs to come and experience what we're providing. And they might be in LA or Dubai or China or Japan. Like, how does that impact us? We need New England followers to come to New England. And so it's a combination. Organic works fine. Don't pay too much for that stuff.
Now, where does most of your marketing budget go specifically for the Grand? Like, you guys do a bunch of those billboards off 93 and stuff?
No, almost everything's digital at this point. So we spend a ton of money on talent and then get the organic stuff, and then we'll spend money on digital, Facebook, Instagram, that type of advertising, and targeted, fans of Aoki, and go out and target his fans that may not be our fans. But highly targeted approach. We run some cable ads because of our amazing videographers.
Really?
They create some amazing commercials. So, you could take a commercial and run it digitally and on Comcast, during a Bruins Stanley Cup Finals game or a Celtics playoff game. So it's like live sports is a great way to market because people are watching. So a lot of the times we'll market.
Is that your demo though? Would Nesson necessarily be a demo? Because you got a lot of like 50-year-old dads watching Nesson.
Well, it depends on the sport. Red Sox skew maybe a little bit older, a little different demo. Each demo is different, but no, I mean, at the end of the day, everyone watches sports or Sports Center or, who knows. It's not 100% of our budget, but we'll throw 20% of our budget towards that. And then more like 50% towards digital, because that's where you could target every eyeball digitally,
Dude, are you just like itching to get back to work right now? I could imagine you're going nuts.
Yeah. Trying to stay one day at a time and be positive, and just win the day. But yeah, I'm ready.
I'm sure. Hey,
I'm ready.
Hey, Timo, we'll start with Slugs. You got a question for Big Randy?
Yeah, I do. I was wondering, with the college population in Boston being so high, do you wish that the drinking age, or do you think that the drinking age should be lower?
Okay, Slugs. That's a great question, man.
That's a great question. I'm not sure I can fully answer that all that well. I mean, because it's almost like a societal big question. I can't change the law, but I mean, part of the answer is sure, why not? It would be great to have a larger group of people that could come and enjoy the party. Big Night Live is 18 plus a lot of the times, all ages a lot of the times, depending on the act.
Is Lance Tobin still booking for you at Big Night Live?
No, he moved to New York. We have a different booker now, Alex. But
that's my guy. He was on the podcast like a couple months back.
Oh, really? Yeah, he moved to New York a few months ago. But so to answer your question, are 18, 19, 20-year-olds able to drink successfully without being a mess? Not as well as 21 plus. So there's this fine line of safety, fun, maturity that needs to happen. But it's a much larger question. Is like Canada's 18 plus. Like a lot of societies, a lot of countries are 18 plus. If we were, maybe we'd mature faster on the drinking end. But as of now, the younger you are, the more sloppy you are when you come to one of our places. So it's a fine line. I don't know.
For sure. And I bet, excuse me, what was the name of the Emerson bar again?
Oh, the Estate back in the day.
I'm sure you're dealing with a lot of that.
Well, I mean, listen, Big Night follows, and I know I'm not just saying this because it's on a podcast. Like, we follow the law to a T. We have machines that scan your IDs. We do everything I can to make sure that everyone is 21 plus, because we cannot serve underage. You
don't want to deal with all that, though.
No, it's very bad. Very bad. It's not healthy. It's not smart. It's not lawful. And I'm not just saying it. It's really not good. So if the law was different, sure, it'd be a different game, and we'd have a lot more customers because there's 100,000 seniors and 400,000 college kids. So we're missing out on 300,000 undergrad, underage kids but they'll get there. They'll become seniors and they'll celebrate at a Big Night spot. So we'll wait patiently.
Let them go to Tavern in the Square, man. Let them wait their turn.
Exactly.
Hey, B, any questions for Randy?
Yeah, so I was looking, I saw you help create Big Mind Creative Group, and it's kind of like a think tank with new ideas. Can you share any of those innovations and some of the new ideas that are maybe coming from Vegas that you thought about bringing to Boston?
Dude, our producers are kick ass.
Great question. So Big Mind Creative is an interesting point because we're going to start building new companies that are within the brand, within the orbit of Big Night, that might not be nightlife, might not be restaurant. Like in this particular case, it's marketing. I come from an entirely marketing background. And so starting a marketing company with our partners, so it's Ed, Joe, and I, and then a group of guys that are amazing, Scott and Joe and Alex. They have done all of our creative since day one, all of our logos, all of our websites, all of our stuff. So we joined forces, started a company together, called it Big Mind. And yeah, we're innovating within the creative marketing world for people that, I mean, creative is everything, right? So from your logo to your website to your brand development. So it didn't come from Vegas in this particular case. This actually is originating here, homegrown, and it's all from our minds and our creativity. We think we do it pretty well, and branding and developing a brand, staying within guidelines, and really doing smart, creative content from videography to photography to brand development is all stuff that we're doing at Big Mind, and we want to do it for other people. So we didn't call it Big Night Creative Group because it's not for nightlife only. It's for anybody. We want any company in the world that wants to have a stronger brand, a more interactive brand, a brand that speaks to young people, which we don't think a lot of the ad agencies do, or a lot of the creative agencies are a little bit stuck in the older times, in our opinion. That we have a nimble, young, active workforce that is all within the Big Night orbit. I mean, we have 1,500 employees that have tens, if not hundreds of followers each. I mean, our network is almost a media company at this point. We can reach millions of people.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Through our network. So that's where Big Mind came from. We started Big Night Radio. We're doing radio mixes on Sirius.
Dude, let me host on that thing, man. Give me a shot.
Well, right now we're getting shots with Sirius, with Pitbull, Globalization, mix shows.
Oh, let's go.
Dash Radio, Kiss 108 broadcasts our mix every week. So we're doing Big Night Radio, Big Mind Creative. We're gonna do Big Night TV. We're gonna do Big Night Talent. We're gonna start a management company in the music division. So we're gonna expand past just hospitality, and obviously that's our core. That's what we do the best. But we think we could take our skill and knowledge and what we've learned over the past 13 years as Big Night and longer as humans, and Ed and Joe have been in business, in the hospitality business, for a long time, and do music, do marketing, do hospitality, and really create a wide orbit of multi-use businesses.
Yeah, so Big Mind's like it's your marketing vehicle for when you grow outside of Boston.
Yeah, it's a creative platform, a creative platform that for anyone that wants it, from Golden Deer to the Red Sox. I mean, who wants us to touch their brand and maybe
brand a little more popping?
Yeah. Young, vibrant, energetic, creative minds using, developing some cool programming. And we're working with some people right now. One major college, for example. We have an unbelievable rapport going on with a university. I can't say who yet, but it would really, the amount of things.
I'm going to guess it's Harvard. I'm going to guess Harvard.
Nah, the amount of things that are in the program, I mean, it's like 50 deep of how we could merge the Big Night world and the university world to really develop like attractive, exciting reasons to not only attend the high-level education of a particular university, but to bring a sort of fun, energetic, young vibe to it too. So,
now, question: when you start up a new business venture like that, in the back of your mind, are you ever like, am I not going to have enough time for my responsibilities for the other ones? Or like, when do you make the call where you're like, all right, let's just do it?
No, I want to do it all. There's no stopping. We have an amazing team. We have 1,500 team members on Big Night. We have an amazing group of executives. We have 30 people that have been with us from day one.
That's what all you successful entrepreneurs say. You're like, oh, I got a great team that backs me up, man.
It's not bullshit though. It's real, because seriously, every successful business has a successful team behind it. It's not me. I'm just one person. What could I do? Like you just said, like, how much can you do before you stop? Well, I personally could only do so much, but my brain can do a lot, and all of our brains together do way more than just one. So it's actually not bullshit. It might sound cliche, but it really is the real reason why you're able to do more, is because other people jump in, share their knowledge, and together you develop a much stronger, better company, you know?
When did you start really developing like the vision past just like spinning at Kiss? Were you always like, yo, I'm going to be a fucking boss one day? Was that always in your mind, or as time went on, you're like, okay, I'm thinking a little bit bigger and a little bit bigger?
So I have one cool story back at Kiss. The general manager of the radio station, I was 24 years old. I think it was like sort of after that Concord stunt. And she pulled me into the office and said, what do you want to do? Seriously. And I was 24. And she said, I want you to write down, this is probably the best secret, the best thing anyone could ever do in life. I want you to write down your 1 year, your 3 year, and your 5 year goals. I want you to write a letter, 3 separate pieces of paper, personal, professional, any goal you have, write it down. 1 year, 3 year, 5 year, put it in an envelope, self-addressed, give it to me, and I'll mail it to you on the 1 year anniversary, the 3 year anniversary, on the 5 year anniversary. And it was the coolest experience of my life, because when you write down a goal, it's in the universe. You now know how to go achieve it. It's in your brain. So I'm going to spook you. Ready? I was 24. My 1 years came back and they were all lined up. My 3 years came back and they were all lined up. I have no recollection of this. I get the 5 year letter in the mail. I'm 29 years old. One of the things I wrote when I was 24 was open a nightclub at Foxwoods. Own a nightclub at Foxwoods. How the hell did I write at 24 to open a nightclub at Foxwoods? Not even just open a nightclub or own a nightclub. It was own a nightclub at Foxwoods. And that was the year that it happened.
Wow. What was the 3 year?
It was the 5 year. I was
What
24.
was the 3 year though?
Oh, it was like make X number of dollars, married with 1 kid, you know, I don't even remember, but it was all things that I was on track. I was either meeting or on track to meet financially, family-wise, all the different things you wanted to hit. But the most wild one out of anything I could have written was own a nightclub at Foxwoods. 5 years later, get it in the mail. And then within months, we owned a nightclub at Foxwoods.
That's fire.
It's bizarre. And I wish I actually do that with some of the team now. Like, I really want everyone to write down their goals, because when you write them down, you meet them. And my son does judo, has won young. He's 14 now, but has won national judo championship a bunch of times. And he has been trained by Jimmy Pedro, who went to the Olympics 4 times, and Kayla Harrison, who won the Olympics twice. First female judo player to ever win, not only once, but twice, from America. She's now in MMA. She's fights for the Professional Fighters League. She won the PFL last year, $1 million. She'll end up being like most likely UFC and be like Ronda Rousey, one of the most famous fighters in the history of MMA. You'll see this soon. Fast forward 5 years, that'll be a fact. Her number one thing she says to all the kids that are training, a goal set is a goal met. And so I say it to my team all the time, like, seriously, if you set a goal, you're going to meet it, because it's so obvious, you know, like.
Yes and no. Like if you obsess over it, yeah. If you can tap into that. But some people say shit and they don't get it done. You know what I'm saying?
Well, try harder.
Well, dude, I got to be honest with you. I probably sent you like 19 emails. I finally got there, man. Let's fucking get it.
Yeah, you set a goal. I don't know why it was me, but you set a goal. I mean, I'm sure you've done it with hundreds of people, but.
Oh yeah, you should see the email. It's sick.
Exactly. I'm not surprised. But seriously, I don't think it's bullshit. I think if you set your personal goal, you're striving to meet it. You're spending your time trying to meet that goal. Go meet it. And if you don't meet it, well, maybe you fall short, but you tried your ass off. But that is truly the best advice anyone could ever give anyone, is set a goal, go obsess over it, go meet it, because that's what creates success.
Well, and if you were to, so what about your 5 year right now? If you were to write it down, like where would you like to take everything? Like,
it's funny because I've never done it since, and I don't do it personally anymore, and maybe I should. But world domination would probably be on the 5 year. Big night, world domination. I mean, you know, I'm joking, but in all seriousness,
you're for president, man.
No. In all seriousness, the goals right now are to develop Big Night into a worldwide, global brand. I want to develop this B into everyone that sees it knows what it means in 5 years.
If you could start up another venue right now, unlimited money, what would you start? Like, what would your idea venue concept be? Your dream? You probably want a casino on the Strip, right? That's like the gold standard.
That's a multi-billion-dollar standard. But it's interesting because we just got finished building $50 million worth of properties. So we built Big Night Live, which was approximately $30 million.
Memoir is beautiful, man. I went in. It's awesome.
Yeah, thanks. It's really cool. It's a special place. We built Memoir and we built Mystique all within the last, year. So Mystique and Memoir opened in June, and Big Night Live opened in late October, almost November. And so by building 3 gigantic monstrosities of buildings that totaled $50 million, I'm like exhausted, like mentally exhausted. So I haven't even thought of what's next because we just kind of nailed our goals. So now it's like, okay, let's make them all successful. Let's have 300 shows a year at Big Night Live. Let's, obviously, and now we're in the middle of this. Let's get through this safely, healthy, and successfully. And then we'll start back up. We'll think of more, but I don't have this giant thought process that, holy shit, we got to open another amazing venue. Like,
I mean, when you're like 65, though, you're like, okay, look at this piece of property I own. Like, that's fire.
Yeah, I'll start thinking about it. I'll start, thanks to this podcast, I'll start considering.
Call it the Randy.
Next. But quite frankly, I really want to expand into the music world. My son's producing music, EDM that I love, and I want to help his brand and his music find the world. The Break Bomb Project's really cool.
Sweet.
And so I want to manage, we want to manage artists as a company, and we want to expand into Big Night Records, start a record label, like do things, obviously within hospitality, more Scorpion bars, more stuff with Guy Fieri, more Chicken Guys. The 4 nightclubs and nightlife venues we have is a lot.
That's boring.
In this market. No, it's not boring. We got to make them successful and forever. But having another one is not necessarily the top thing on my plate. I think it's expanding more.
Brand.
Expanding the brand, I think, is number one. Yeah.
Hey, Big Fresh, you got a question for Randy?
Yeah. So you kind of touched on, the music scene, but can you talk about any kind of existing relationships you have between your venues and the music scene in Boston? Because, obviously a big name artist is good for pulling in tickets, but how do you gauge what local acts are probably a good bet to kind of take a risk on?
It's tough.
Yeah, it's a great question. Now that we have a concert venue, a live music venue, we're starting to dive into the Boston music scene a little bit more. When it comes to nightclubs and DJs, we have 23 local DJs that we've identified as the best of the best, and they all exclusively play our places. So that music scene from a DJ perspective, and especially I came from DJing, so I'll evaluate them and feel them out, whether I like them, whether I think they're talented, and a good person. That is number one. If you're a good person, you work hard, and you have some DJ talent, then you're in.
Big Fresh is a DJ. Get him in there, man.
There we
He's
go.
handsome as hell. Shorties love him.
All right, let's see. So DJ Costa is our director of entertainment, and he sort of takes, him and JD in Connecticut take on all the applications of who wants to DJ our places. It's pretty hard to find a slot because obviously I just said we have 23 people locally, which is pretty hard to find everybody enough slots to make them all happy. But on the band side or the hip hop side or the performance artist side, we're looking for talent. And, we have a couple of booking agents within our organization that are booking people for these live shows, usually to open for some of the big hip hop acts. So we found some local hip hop acts that have opened. Latin acts. Cisco has helped us put on some Latin shows and opened. So I don't fully know where to find them all, but Big Night Live was only about 5 months, 6 months open, but when we had to close. But when we open back up, we're very excited to expand on that Boston music scene at Big Night Live for sure.
Now, the growth of the Seaport, did that coincide with your success whatsoever, or is it all? It was pretty much developed by the point the Grand started, right?
Well, interestingly, Empire, we opened 8 years ago in the Seaport. It was the second restaurant ever after Strega Waterfront. So Joe Fallon, who owned that building, found us, and we found him, and we put Empire in there real early before any of those businesses developed. And then by having a great restaurant there early on, it helped us sort of meet people, meet the neighborhood. And then when WS developed that entire block, we were early talking to the owners of WS about putting a nightclub in there, and fortunate to get that deal. So at that point, I mean,
did you know it was going to be so big?
Which part?
When you had started Empire, did you know the Seaport was going to turn into this like little mini mega city?
Yeah, it was part of the plan. So they had a 10-year plan even back then that showcased how big the developments were going to be and how big Mayor Menino back in the day and Joe Fallon, were both big on developing that neighborhood. And now
it used to be just like a parking lot, right? Just like
all parking lots. It was all the Big Dig. The Big Dig, the bridge, the artery going over the city, once that went under the city and the Greenway and everything happened, that made Seaport relevant because it became part of the fabric of the city, and you walk from Financial District, and it really got developed. So we were fortunate to be early on, and it's definitely been a major part of our success. The neighborhood's awesome. It's so great to be in the Seaport, and yeah, we're lucky.
A lot of dudes in suits, though, man.
Nothing wrong with that.
A lot of button-up shirts going on. A lot of Cole Haan loafers. All right, we got some final questions. Oh yeah, so I mean, I don't want to turn this into like the most negative thing of all time, but like, when do you think your spots will open back up? Soon?
Well, it's all going to be based off of science
Government.
and medical and health and safety of our employees. Massachusetts is still currently a hot spot. It's not quite on the other side of the curve yet. We'll have a phase plan based on the guidelines of phase 1, 2, and 3. I think, we're actually going to start with takeout at Empire starting this weekend. So that's exciting just to get some activity back going. People have been asking for it. It's been a month. We're ready to kind of at least do that. The restaurants will start with some half capacity dining, social separation. And then the nightlife spots will happen when we're allowed to. When Governor Baker and Mayor Walsh say it's cool, we'll do it. But as long as they're amazing and their safety first. So it's not like we're in Georgia or Florida or somewhere where they're saying go back. If we were in Georgia and Florida and they said, yeah, you can open your bars, we wouldn't. It's not safe yet. It's obvious. I don't know why it's not obvious. So when it's safe and when our employees are comfortable going back to work and feel like it's the right thing to do, then we'll do it. We're prepared. We're ready to do it when it's the right safe time. We're not doing this for money, safety over money. And we feel good that we'll get through this and be on the other side of it. And when we are, we'll win.
Do you think the event industry how will it change? Like, will people do more interactive experiences now? Like, do you think there will be any long-lasting effect on it?
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be innovation. There's definitely going to be some interactive events and online concerts and all that stuff. I mean, the concert industry may take the longest or will take the longest to come back because it's large crowds. I mean, it might be a year before there are large crowds. So we're just going to take it day by day and do it. There might be some interactive stuff and it may change it a little bit. I mean, we have physical brick and mortar spaces. So we've discussed how we might go live and do live streams from our places in the future when people are performing with the artist. So it gives the people that don't want to go out, but this isn't going to last forever. I mean, there's been other major pandemics, and they're horrible, and they last a while, a year, 2 years. There'll be a vaccine, and everyone will go back to some sort of normalcy. I know it doesn't feel that way right now, but
No, I'm with you, man. I'm pumped.
Yeah.
I think the first night the Grand is opening, you guys
I
are gonna
know.
have like a record night.
I know. We all think that. So we can't
You're
wait.
gonna have
for
to get
that
a
to happen.
kick-ass performer for that night. You got to get someone crazy.
Well, it's actually probably going to be a rolling open. It's not going to be like that one big grand opening. We don't know when it'll be, so it's hard to book a performer for it. But we have amazing talent lined up for the fall and beyond. The summer will probably be a slow grind. Not that it won't be busy, but I think we have to safely do it with smaller capacities. The major talent will probably resume in the fall or winter, but we'll see. Maybe it's longer, maybe it's shorter. Stay tuned and check out all of our socials.
For sure. And dude, I think that there's going to be such a consumer demand for people wanting to like just get turned up at a club.
Well, here's the reality. Anyone under 30 feels that way. And everyone over 30 or might have children or older parents or, they don't quite feel that way. I'm with you. I'm on the older side of 30, obviously. But I do believe that there's a part of the population that wants to rage, and there's a part that want to wait it out. And where we have to, as business owners, sort of ride that line carefully and not go too aggressive in either direction.
I hear you. And hey, can you briefly talk about, before we end, just the Be Strong Fund? Because you guys are going in for your employees. That's fire.
Yeah, thanks. So far we started the Be Strong Fund. We've raised almost $300,000 for our team. We have 1,500 team members. We have about 575 applicants for more assistance. Some aren't able to collect unemployment, or some are in dire need of food, diapers, formula. So we put a committee of 5 together to go comb through all the applicants. And we've so far donated $130,000 to 110 people so far. We've put food boxes together of enough food for 2 weeks, and we've given those boxes of food to 150 of our team members.
And you do it based on like who needs it the most, right?
Yeah. So we put a committee together. We put an application together, all private. I haven't seen it. I don't. It's literally a non-ownership committee. We want to make it fair and right. And so a committee is voting on really who needs it the most. And a lot of the employees are being honest. Like, listen, there's so much generosity that comes out of this. It's unbelievable. Like, there might be somebody that needs it badly, and they're saying, you know what? I can make it 2 more weeks. Go help that other person first. Put me in the second line. So it's been inspiring, and it's really cool to see the generosity, and it's really made us better people. Like, I don't know, I feel more generous because of it. I feel like I want to be more giving than ever. And Ed, Joe, and I started the fund with $100,000 of our own money, and then have generated another 200 on top. And so we're doing an auction on our Big Night Instagram page. So every day there's a different auction. We've done Snoop Dogg, 50 Cent, Guy Fieri. We have some really cool ones coming up with the UFC. Donated this mega package to go see the UFC when they're back in action. Dana White's a good friend of ours. He's amazing. So many people, Shaquille O'Neal coming up. So many people have donated really cool experiences, meet and greets and different things, and people can go bid on it, and 100% of the proceeds go to the fund. And we'd love to generate 500,000 and get everybody that needs it thousands of dollars to make it through this timing until we can hire everyone back. Because the one thing that's hard for everyone to understand is when you go from X number of revenue to 0, there's no money. It's like, I'm out of a job too. I'm unemployed. As the entrepreneur or, one of the co-owners of the company, it's like, there's no money left. It's gone. There's 0. So we need the comeback. So in the meantime,
dude, you'll get it, man. Don't worry.
And yeah, thank you. I hope so. And in the meantime, all we can do is focus our energy on, I'm fortunate. I have a nice house and my kids have food, and and we're in good shape comparatively. So we're doing everything I can to get the team through this. And when we get to the other side, we'll all be there to throw the best rager of all time.
Let's go. It's huge. Hey, man, I had a blast, dude. I hope you had fun.
Thank you. Yeah. It's cool to talk about this stuff and especially the Be Strong stuff. And thanks for featuring it. And can't wait to see you at the Grand when it's all said and done. All right, everybody. That was my golden hour.